Hello, and welcome to the Wednesday, June 20th edition of the Carlisle Community Forum. Thank you all for joining us. It's a wonderful day here in Carlisle, and I think everybody's just about ready for summer and all the great activities that come at this time of year. I'm Doug Stevenson, former member of the Carlisle Board of Selectmen, and I'm your host today. And I'm very pleased to be here with a very distinguished group of panelists who have joined us. And I'll just do a brief introduction of all of them. At the one end of the table is Sally Stokes, the Friends of the Council on Aging Director. Next to her, David Klein, who is our Carlisle Council on Aging Director. A lot of directors here. Next to him, Angela Smith, who is the Carlisle Council on Aging Outreach and Program Manager. Next to her is Leanna Moran, our guest speaker today. Thank you very much for joining us. And continuing down the table, we have David Friedman, former chair of the Carlisle Planning Board, and who is currently heading up the website efforts here in Carlisle. And at the far end of the table, Mary DiAlderetti, our newly elected town clerk, and we're glad to have you here as well. So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to a great discussion today. I'd first like to turn things over to David for a welcome from the Council on Aging.
Thank you so much, Doug. You stole a little bit of my thunder. I was about to say we're about to enter summer, I guess, tonight, first day of summer. A lot of things have gone on. We've had our town meeting, we've had our town elections, and we're entering the end of the fiscal year. We just had our final COA board meeting yesterday morning, so we've got some new board members, and Sally's our representative here from the Friends of the Council on Aging. So we've got some exciting things going on, Doug, and I don't want to take too much more time before we jump right in, because I know some folks have been waiting for a while. But I'm actually really excited to hear what David has to say about the website, and also we've had a wonderful introduction to Mary's tenure here in Town Hall. I want people to know that it's really been a very smooth and good transition. So anyway,
thank you.
Turn it back to you.
So with that, Mary, we're glad to have you today. Mary was just recently elected town clerk, and we really look forward to her tenure. And we'll give you a few moments to introduce yourself and tell us how much you're enjoying the job.
Thank you, Doug. And I am very much enjoying the job so far. David and Angela, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here at Town Hall. Everyone has been extremely welcoming, and I'm really enjoying just finding my way around. I would like to remind everyone that there is an election September 4th, which is the day after Labor Day. So not to get too complacent about what's going on in the summer. If you're not already registered to vote, the last day to do that is August 15th, and our office will be open until 8 p.m. So you can do that if you're not already registered. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mary. It's hard to believe we're talking about September and elections already. Let's enjoy a little summer before we get there. So next up, David Friedman, who's going to tell us a little bit of progress on the Carlisle Town website.
Thank you, Doug. By the time this airs, the new town website will be live. It's going live tomorrow afternoon. They give us a precise time of 2:30, but apparently it takes a day or two sometimes for it to propagate through the internet so that everybody will access it. But by the time this airs, the new town website will be accessible, and it'll be accessible through the same carlilemad.gov URL that currently works. This is the culmination of many years of work. I got involved in this 2.5 years ago in December of 2015, and spent a lot of time developing a new design and gathering content from all the departments and committees in town. We went through a long process with Virtual Towns and Schools, VTS, which is our current site designer, and after 1.5 years with them, they walked away from the contract, and we are now with Civic Plus, and sort of adapted the design to their platform. They're based in Kansas, but they are the web provider for most of our neighboring communities, Concord, Chelmsford, Billerica, Acton, Westford, just not Bedford. And the new website is essentially the content of the old website, except through the efforts of the last couple of years, all the content there should be correct and updated. The town website for years has been problematical in that the information there wasn't consistent. Some kept it updated and some information there was multi-years old. My view of websites is that they're only as good as the least useful, least reliable piece of information. So we worked very hard to make it more accurate. We are encouraging the public to come to the site and to use it, and to get back to the town if you find anything that you like or don't like. The site will be accessible through mobile devices. It's designed to work on mobile devices, so phones and tablets, so that sort of moving us into the 21st century. And we are working, Mary actually was the webmaster in Lancaster, so it's been great to have her on board as we're launching this. Mary was the day after the election. She took part in a day of the training on the new site, although she already was familiar with it from her previous job in Acton and being the webmaster in Lancaster. And Mary is working with the town treasurer to move some things online, like dog licenses and the like. And I believe also the Council on Aging is looking into possibly moving some of their registration materials onto the new site. So we're hoping it becomes the place to go for town information going forward.
Great. Thank you, David. Thank you for all of your work on it. I know you've slogged for many years with the planning board, and this is a new endeavor for you, and we appreciate everything that you do for the community, and certainly looking forward to the enhanced website. What, you said 2:30 on which day?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So that's,
by the
that's
time
Thursday, June 21st.
21st. Yeah.
All right.
So if we log in at 2:31,
It depends. I mean, they send out a disclaimer. I mean, it's very weird that they pick a specified minute and then say it can take 24 to 48 hours for it to propagate. And it depends on different users, I guess, will be able to access it sooner or later, but, you know, within a day or two. But it's essentially, it's the same. I mean, if you went there and it wasn't up, what you'd see is the current site. It's not as if
The town went dark.
the town went dark, although as soon as it does go live, all the information on the old site is gone. And so part of the process over the last months has been making sure that anything that's there that people don't have in their servers, that we've gotten it down off the site and have it ready to go back up.
Well, thank you again. And thank you, both Mary and David, for
pleasure.
joining us today for these introductions and information. So we really appreciate it.
We're going to step away and
Sure.
go back to work.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you so much.
Now we'll move on to the primary part of today's program. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Leanna Moran, who is the site director at Summit ElderCare in Lowell. Leanna runs the PACE program and primarily works to assist elderly so they're able to live safely and independently in their communities, which is certainly a timely topic here in Carlisle for many folks. Leanna's worked for Fallon Health, which is the parent company of Summit ElderCare, for 7 years, and has been in her current position for 2 years. She holds a master's degree in social work from Boston College, great place to go to school, and she currently lives in Westford with her husband and 3 sons. So thank you very much for joining us today, Leanna. And at this point, we're going to ask you just to tell us a little bit about the PACE program and how it can help folks in our community.
okay. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's nice to make new friends here in Carlisle. I live next door in Westford. Beautiful drive into town this morning. So I direct Fallon's newest Summit ElderCare site in Lowell. Fallon has been offering PACE, which stands for Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly, for over 20 years. And our Lowell site, located on the Duville Life and Wellness campus, right on Varnum Ave, down the street from Lowell General Hospital, we opened that site about 2.5 years ago, and I had the privilege of being part of opening the new site and hiring the new team and starting up the program and offering it here now in the Merrimack Valley. So PACE, there's a lot to explain about PACE. We've been doing a lot of education in this area because it's new to the Merrimack Valley. But it really truly is all-inclusive, like the name says, all-inclusive care for seniors 55 and over. And we are able to help folks live safely and well in the community, which is our whole mission, by really wrapping our arms around them with an entire team. And that team meets every day at our PACE Center. It's very interdisciplinary, so everyone from physical therapist to occupational therapist, the physician who's a geriatrician, social work, dietitian, home care nurse, transportation coordinator, many other nurses, and more folks. We meet together every day to talk about our participants. We call our patients our participants. And really, that's the magic of the PACE model. We're proactive and preventative, and very little slips through the cracks because we're in constant communication with the whole team.
Can you tell us roughly how many participants or clients you have that you currently are working with?
Sure. So Fallon's entire PACE program, Summit ElderCare, has over 1,200 participants. At our Lowell site, we're taking care of about 85. When we're full, we'll take care of about 250 folks.
And who is eligible for the program?
So PACE is for folks that are 55 and over. So even though elderly is in the name, we do have a lot of younger folks in their late 50s, early 60s who I do not refer to as elderly. There are participants. You have to live in our service area, which is pretty wide. We go up into the Andovers. We cover Concord and Carlisle, out all the way out to Air. So it's a pretty significant service area. Our closest site to the Lowell site would be Leominster, so we kind of overlap with the towns that they're taking care of. You have to be willing to allow our physician, our geriatrician, to be your primary care provider. So that's a change for folks, but we're really managing all of your medical care, so that's important. And you have to be what we call nursing home certifiable. And what that means is that you meet some clinical criteria that would make you eligible for a nursing home, but yet we share the common goal of you want to stay at home, living in the community, and we want to be able to help you to do that. So things like needing help with bathing or dressing, or even just not being able to manage your medications on your own, we're going to cover all those needs. And the state looks at what we submit to them for that clinical criteria to make sure that you qualify for the PACE program.
Can I just interrupt for a second?
Sure.
I ask a question which we've heard about PACE over a number of years at conferences, the Mass Council on Aging conferences, and what I think would be really helpful for people to understand is why did PACE come into existence, this integrative approach? Because I think
Right.
that is really a key idea
Right.
as to what you're doing.
Right.
Like, what's different about it?
Yeah. You know, I refer to PACE as the future of healthcare because it really is so innovative, but yet it's been around since the 1970s. So I kind of contradict myself. But the story of how it came to be was it actually started in the San Francisco area. In the 70s, they were experiencing an influx of immigrants. So from all different countries, a lot of Southeast Asian folks, which is similar to our Lowell community, but also from Europe. And they were bringing their families, and they had this conundrum where, people had to work. The son or daughter had to go to work, and they wanted to care for their parent, but they didn't believe in nursing homes. They didn't want to institutionalize their folks. So a group of different disciplines, kind of like who we are now at our PACE site, got together and said, what if we had a day center? We can have our parents come there during the day, and we'll provide everything they need at home. And if we can get this covered somehow through insurance, instead of having insurance pay for a nursing home, then we can keep them at home. That was the On-Lock PACE program, which still exists in San Francisco. So it's grown, and over time, Medicare and Medicaid, here it's MassHealth, came to recognize that that the PACE program was saving the government a lot of money by taking care of these people outside of a nursing home. And so it became a Medicare and Medicaid recognized program. So Fallon is paid through Medicare and Medicaid. And it's grown. So you have to live in a state where PACE is offered. I believe it's offered in 38 states now. So we're fortunate to have PACE in Massachusetts. But yeah, it's really grown significantly. And I know, the state of Massachusetts wants to see people enroll in our program because it really is innovative and thinking outside the box and more flexible than when someone is just receiving all their care from different community providers.
Do they have to be eligible for MassHealth?
Great question. Most of our participants are on Medicare and MassHealth. And if they have both of those insurance, when we take over as the primary insurance, there's no cost to them at all for PACE. PACE actually has a waiver with MassHealth so that they can have a higher income and we can help them get onto MassHealth. And that's why most of them end up at some point having both in place. If they don't have MassHealth, they can pay privately for PACE. They can pay an insurance premium.
Is the insurance premium typically like an average insurance premium?
It's not, because we're covering everything. So when you join our program, we become your primary health insurance, and we're covering everything from physician and hospital bills to over-the-counter meds and your durable medical equipment and your home care, really everything that you need to stay safe at home.
Right, okay.
Yep.
But everything's all together, as you're pointing out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And do people have to go to the day program?
Good question. I'm going to back up just a little bit for our listeners and viewers and talk about the main components of PACE, and then I'm going to answer that question because there's a lot to it, like I said in the beginning. So when you join our program, PACE is like a four-legged stool. So we are your health insurance. We are all of your medical care. We have a clinic on site, and like I said, you would see our geriatrician as your primary care provider. We are all your home supports, all your home care, and we're your social supports. So in addition to the social workers that we have on our team, we have a social day program at our Lowell site. Everyone's plan is individualized. So I have people that come in only once a month for some assessments, and others that come in 5 days a week. So it really depends on what they need. And they might start out only coming in once a month, and our goal is to take care of them through the end of life, right? So towards the end, we might be seeing them more often than that at the center.
Do you have hospice?
So we provide hospice-like services. We do our own end-of-life care. So folks don't have to disenroll and join a hospice provider. We have the same team that's been caring for you all along go into your home, and we kind of increase our supports at the end of life.
Great.
Leona, could you tell us sort of how many or percentages of your current participants are living in their own homes versus living in assisted living facilities? And I think you said earlier, this is pre-nursing homes, so whatever other
Right.
types of facilities are that where they might be living. I mean, are many of them still in their own homes?
Yes, absolutely. So the mission of our program is to keep people living in the community. Now that might be a house, it might be an apartment, assisted living, a rest home. We consider that all in the community. And we're the good fit for the family who has that same goal, really, and a participant who has that same goal, because we're going to do whatever it takes to keep them out of a nursing home. We really kind of exhaust all of our options. If it does get to that point, we do have some folks that end their life in a nursing home. I'd say overall for the whole Summit ElderCare program, it's probably less than 10% that are living in a nursing home. A good portion of people live in assisted living. PACE is really complementary to assisted living. They're a social model and providing the meals and the care there, and then we're the medical piece. So they complement each other well. I'd say about a third of our population lives in assisted living.
And is there an assisted living facility at Duville
There
Life and
is.
Wellness? So many of your clients are there as well?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And I think you mentioned assessments that you do of the participants? Do they come to you, or do you go to them, or is it a little bit of both?
Most of the time we have them coming to us because remember, we have the whole team there. So if a physician does an exam and thinks that they should be seen by a physical therapist, the physical therapist and the whole rehab gym is right there. And we're trying to really proactively deal with concerns as they come up. So it's nice to have the whole team. But the whole team can go to the home. So if someone's not able to leave their home, we want you to refer them to our program. We're going to work with them in their home, and maybe someday they'll make it into the center. That will be the goal, to help them.
It's like you have a SWAT team. You
Right.
Deploy them out,
Right.
take care of somebody.
Yep.
That's cool.
And do you find it an impediment that folks have to give up their primary care, and I would assume that all of the other specialists that they're currently working with when they enter your program? Is that a concern or impediment for some folks?
So it's really just the primary care provider most of the time. They would continue to see specialists in the community as long as they're in our network. So we have the Circle Health providers. We cover, the Lawrence area. We're contracted with Lawrence General and all of their providers. Most of the time, they don't have to make a change with a specialist. And with a primary care provider, we can get them over that hurdle once they really get to know our team. So our intake process takes a little bit of time, and you have a chance to meet the physician and the nurse practitioner before you sign to enroll with our program. And I think that people see, oh my God, that doctor just spent an hour and a half with me, and that's the doctor that's going to see me. If I'm not feeling well, he's going to see me that same day. So I think that helps for them to really kind of weigh that decision.
And so what is a day like for a participant? If somebody comes to the center, what's that's coming there for a day or a few times a week or what have you? What do they do?
Okay. I'll start with how they get there. So we do offer van transportation. We have a lot of families that drop off their loved one, but we do have van drivers that go into the home and safely walk you out, which is a little different than other programs, and bring you to our program. We have a lot of activities during the day, really the whole gamut. So we're starting a gardening program right now out on our patio. We're working with Mill City Grows because I don't have a green thumb, so I had to find a farmer to help us. And arts and crafts, yoga and exercise groups, a lot of different word games. We bring in entertainers. So similar to what a senior center or a COA would offer, we offer that variety. They have a hot meal with us during the day. We have a hair salon there, so if they come on the right day, they can even get their hair done. And depending on what their needs are, they might be receiving physical therapy or occupational therapy or some type of nursing treatment while they're with us during the day.
Okay. Are there other questions from the?
I didn't know about the transportation aspect. I think that's just, well, as this Council on Aging's provide transportation, as you know, being from Westford, and they have a great transportation program, Westford, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge for our town, and we were just having a town master planning ideas forum on Monday night, and people were saying, wouldn't it be great to have transportation, a shuttle between Carlisle and Concord? And we've heard that before, and I think one of the challenges to the town budget is where are you spending your money, and we're spending transportation money just on transporting seniors around to get them to doctor's appointments, to social events and things. But having alternative transportation options is so I don't know, it's incredible actually. So, wow. I mean,
transportation is a real issue for folks, and it's tied into their health care, right? So if one of our participants calls in the morning and they're not feeling well, we can send a van out to get them and bring them right into the clinic because we're like their urgent care. And if we didn't have that van available and they don't have family that can drop everything and bring them to the doctor, they're at risk of having something brewing that they're really going to need a lot more help for. So it helps us being able to give them that ride keeps us on top of all their health conditions as well.
Do you use a particular hospital?
Lowell General and Lawrence General are contracted with us. If someone has an emergency, wherever they land, we're going to pay for it. But if we were like planning a knee surgery, for example, we would use a contracted hospital.
Cool. What's the one thing that most people are uncomfortable with when they start?
So I don't know if it's uncomfortable, but more that people are not used to the type of care that we provide, because we really do welcome you in like you're our family member. And now you have 11 different, professionals that are caring for you like you're their family member. So we try to explain that up front, that we're going to be really nosy and we ask a lot of questions, and same with the families that we're working with. But the whole goal is to be able to keep you at home. So we really need to know everything that you're having trouble with so we can help you. But they get used to it, and then they start to refer to us as family, so.
And I'm not asking this question for any competitive reason at all, but I'm curious, and maybe you guys did talk about this before. Is Fallon the only provider of PACE in Massachusetts?
No, I believe there are 8 providers of PACE in Massachusetts, 2 here in the Merrimack Valley. So you have to live in the service area, as I said earlier. So Element Care and Fallon's Summit ElderCare are the 2 in the Merrimack Valley.
Okay, wonderful. Because, it just seems like maybe it's not for everybody, obviously, but it seems like it's such a good idea to help people, especially, Angela spends so much time with people that are, and people in our office that have lost their family or their families live out of state. So here's just like a whole nother layer of support.
Right.
And just trying to get them to the right place, and this doctor here, and does that doctor know what's going on over there? And they're not capable of telling people a lot of the time, and yet we're not so sure the information's getting from one doctor to another.
Right.
It gets very scary, so this is wonderful.
Right. Yep, that's what we do, all that coordination.
So to that point, can you talk a little bit about the family members and other caregivers that are in your participants' lives, who I think you indicated are participants in some manner in the process here? How are they involved? How do you support them? And the first thing that comes to my mind is sort of HIPAA laws and what have you in terms of bringing other people into this discussion about somebody's personal health history and what you're working on with them.
So it's really up to our participants in terms of HIPAA, what they want us to speak with their family about, what level of conversation we can have with those family members. So we do have all the customary releases and permission forms, and we get that taken care of right away. But usually you can tell just by having a conversation with them who's really been helping them and who should be receiving things like invitations to our care plan meeting, so we can make sure we're all on the same page. And once we have that permission squared away, we want the families to call us for anything and everything. We can't be successful in keeping people in the community without family support, if there is family, right? We take care of a lot of people that don't have family, but if the family's been taking care of them, we don't want to enroll the person and have them step back. We want to keep them involved, because it'll lead to greater success in keeping them safe.
And in most cases, are the family members or a family member involved in the meetings when you discuss strategy relative to the participants' care?
Yes. And we'll do family meetings for whatever comes up. If I don't know any other program where a daughter can call today and say, I'm really worried about mom. I noticed this over the weekend and that over the weekend. And we say, okay, tomorrow, does that work for you? What time? Oh, you can't come in person? Do you want us to give you a call? And we get the team together and we work on it right on the spot.
So tell us about the steps that one would take to get involved. What's the process?
So they can look us up online. I think we're going to scroll the website. It's fallonhealth.org, and you can get to the Summit ElderCare program. You can give us a call and come in for a tour, or you can even just drop in, and we're always glad to share our center with folks that are interested in their family members. Like I said, we're on the back of the Duville campus. We're the new building way in the back on the edge of the Dracut State Forest. It's a lovely spot. They can call for information at 978-427-6810. And the steps include, educating them on the program and making sure that they're interested and they understand that they would be having our primary care provider as their physician. And then we send a nurse to the home to do a clinical assessment that we send into the state. So remember, we have to determine if they're nursing home certifiable, and the state helps us with that. They would review the assessment. And then you have a chance to come in and meet the team at the center, including the provider, to see if we're a good fit for you. And we're also trying to determine what services can we provide to keep this person safe in the community, so that you know upfront what we're going to start off with if you were to enroll into our program. If we're helping you get onto MassHealth, if you are eligible through the PACE waiver, then we have a whole team of specialists that help with the Medicaid portion.
You've said a couple of times nursing home certifiable. What I don't know what that, and maybe other people do. What does that mean?
It just means that clinically you would qualify for a nursing home. So typically if you have, if the person has some chronic diseases and needs some help with things like getting around their home, bathing, dressing, medication management. So the nurse does a home assessment so she can really ask all those questions and see what they need help with. Lots of times people are not receiving any help, but it doesn't mean that they're living very safely without that help. So that's why we have to really get into their home.
I think, if I can jump in, I mean, the most important thing here is what you and Angela have been articulating, is the benefits to the people themselves. But the reason that this is a win-win is because the most expensive thing in our state budget is institutional care. And so it's kind of a win-win if we can
really
avoid
is.
institutional care.
And most people, if you ask them when they turn 55, do you want to end your life in a nursing home? They're going to tell you no. So we're just trying to honor that.
I'm 55, so I'm happy.
Don't worry, you're not nursing home certified.
He's certifiable for some.
Right, thanks, Doug.
Just
Angela will call me if you ever like get your shoes on or something.
Exactly.
just, and I know costs of things are always a sensitive topic, and I know you can't sort of quote costs, but I suspect one of the challenges for many folks in Carlisle is asset issues, and especially when there's an asset test in order to qualify for something, just because many folks in Carlisle have properties that have accumulated in value over years, and they might not have a significant income, but they have a significant asset, and they
Right.
might, and from a financial perspective, they might not qualify for Medicaid or MassHealth. So how do we figure out what that costs? I mean, you say they would pay privately for the insurance. I mean, how do we give a range of what that really means?
Right. So everyone's situation is different, as you know.
I knew that was going to be the first
to
answer.
to get onto MassHealth, you can own your own home in a vehicle. So it's really not their home. That would be sort of used against them, so to speak. And with our waiver, you can make up to about $2,100 a month. So most folks fall below that. With assets, it really depends on the family situation. MassHealth allows a spousal transfer, so sometimes people transfer all their assets to their spouse and they're able to get on. Sometimes people go to an elder law attorney and start a trust, which is permissible with MassHealth regs. So it really depends. And then if if they weren't ready to put that money in a trust, let's say, they could spend down by paying for our program. It's about $3,600 a month. But for families that are paying for a lot of home care, some people are paying for nearly around-the-clock home care, or who are about to pay privately for a nursing home, which is $8,000 upwards a month, that's reasonable, and that's a good way to spend the funds to keep their loved one at home.
Do you ever have to get involved with finding housing for people? Because we keep seeing some of our seniors and other people, they lose their house because their bills have been so high.
Right.
And so then we're stuck because there's really no place for them.
Right.
So do you ever get involved with helping with that?
Our social workers certainly help with housing applications. We don't have any special pull, but we're really able to help advocate for them. Eventually, we'd like to have some type of supportive housing arrangement in this area. So in Fitchburg and in Worcester, we work directly with the housing authorities, and we have a floor of the building that's designated for Summit ElderCare participants, and we put in health aides around the clock. So it's a great model. It works for the housing authority because we're keeping those people there. And it works for us because we can have health aide eyes on them 24/7. I hope to have that in the Lowell area in the future. That's really kind of an ideal setup for us. But for now, we're just trying to build those relationships with the housing authorities and help our folks to advocate for them.
That would be wonderful.
That would be great. I hate to, I guess generally I'm a numbers guy, so I push on numbers a little bit probably more than I should, but just to understand, because I didn't quite follow, the $3,600 a month is a private pay that for somebody to be in the program.
Who doesn't qualify for MassHealth?
Okay.
Yep.
But they would still retain whatever insurances that they have, or is
Nope.
this in lieu of
That-
that? So they give up all of the rest of their insurance, and the $3,600 a month covers basically all of the health insurance issues that they previously paid for in any way that they did.
That's right.
And it gets them membership in your program.
That's right. So they'd be paying that premium, but then there's no co-pays or deductibles or anything else. It's just that flat fee per month.
Okay.
And if they needed, if I'm understanding it correctly, if they needed home care, that would cover that too.
Yep. Yep.
So in the end, it could be quite a bit cheaper.
Certainly compared to it, like you said,
Right.
$8,000 to $10,000 a month in a full-fledged nursing home.
Right.
And I mean, it's a lot of money, but I think if people don't qualify, and like I said, I think there's probably people in Carlisle who have that asset and maybe even retirement income problem where they don't qualify for some of those.
And if they're over the $2,100 a month, which is our PACE MassHealth waiver to get them onto MassHealth, there's also a formula. That's why I don't want to get too complicated,
Sure.
but there's a formula that takes into account your income, where it would be less than the $3,600 a month, but you'd still have to pay towards your care.
Great.
Leanna, I'm not sure if I'm sensing this correctly. Would you say it's your goal to increase the usage of the PACE program?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. No, I mean, seriously, I didn't know whether they were oversubscribed and were turning participants away, or you were encouraging it as much as possible.
No, encouraging, absolutely. So at our Lowell site, we have about 85 participants right now, and we're not full until we reach 250.
Wow.
So we have a ways to go.
Right, okay. Right.
And just say the communities again, your region extends from,
Perhaps I can share a map that we can
Okay.
show, but really goes up into Tewksbury, Dracut, Methuen, the Andovers, down to Concord, Carlisle, over to Air, Pepperell. So the whole Merrimack Valley, Neshoba Valley, whatever you want to call it.
I have one question.
Sure.
On the 3,600 that would cover if you don't qualify for Medicaid,
Yes.
does that require that that person have Medicare which you don't get till 65.
That's right. That's if you have Medicare,
That's if you
but
have
not
Medicare.
MassHealth.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good question.
Yes, thank you. Another numbers person. We'll get to the bottom of this. That's great. I think we're nearing the end of our time for this. Any last minute questions or? what
No,
have you?
I just, having heard about bits and pieces about this in the past, I really want to thank you for coming.
It's great.
We really have great panelists and great shows, and Doug is a great host. But sometimes it's just even more valuable than others, and for us, this is really valuable. So thank you.
Well, you have to come see me now.
Okay.
It'll all glue together once you take a tour of the site.
All right. Wonderful.
Yep. So you're all invited.
Great. Thank you, Lena.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you so much for being here on behalf of the town of Carlisle. We really appreciate it. This is invaluable information for folks, and I know David and Angela will help spread the word, and we really appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Thanks.
Right.
We're going to jump into activities, huh?
Jump into activities, David. You got it.
All right, awesome. Feel free to sit and listen to all the things that we're
Yeah.
doing here.
And
We've
since Leanna was so good, your time is a little bit shorter today.
No, exactly, and I
than normal,
realize
so-
realize that it's my fault. So
Well, it's not you.
mea culpa. So we're actually talking about we're toward the end of June now, but we're actually talking about July and August activities. And to a certain extent, we have a few less activities, but they're also different, a little bit more intergenerational in nature. We recognize that people travel at the same time kids are out of school. So anyway, we've got a tour coming up on July 17th to historic Rockport. Joanne Willens, some people know that name, is organizing. She's our trip coordinator, and if you're interested in going to Rockport, we're providing transportation. The trip is $10, but you can go there, and if you look in our newsletter on page 3, you'll see the description. She's got suggestions with restaurants to go to and where to visit, and I gather that Joanne's been there more than once.
I believe so.
Yeah, right. So if you're interested in this, please call Joanne directly to register. Initially, her number is 978-831-8023. There is an initial preference for Carlisle residents. Is that date dependent?
It is.
Okay. And out-of-towners can still call. We do have out-of-towners who used to live in Carlisle or friends of Carlisle residents. Out-of-towners can still call and register, and they'd be put on a waiting list until we find out that there
Right.
actually is room.
Because the van is limited.
The van is limited, exactly. Also, in the summertime, we have another very special trip that is kind of Carlisle-esque. It's a visit to the JFK Presidential Library and Museum tour. And I say that it's Carlisle-esque. Angela's been arranging this for a long time because we have a Carlisle resident, Frank Rigg, who used to be the curator at the JFK Library. And so this is not just a visit to the library museum, but a tour with Frank, who has access to even certain rooms that the public can't see. And I speak from self-knowledge, having gone on the tour with Frank, and Angela has also, and we've even had our town accountant has gone on this tour with Frank. So that trip is going to be on Wednesday, August 22nd. Again, it's really only limited by to what is it, 12 people because of the space in the van?
Right.
And, yeah.
10, because we
people.
have to have Frank.
We have to have Frank, right? And I'm not just trying to dissuade anybody from going to the JFK Library without Frank. It's just a little bit of an extra perk. So again, if you're interested in that, you're going to call the COA office directly, and our number is 978-371-2895. Finally, a number I remember. And call and register as soon as possible because this tends to be a very popular trip. Again, out-of-towners are welcome, but Carlisle residents have first preference until I think it's August 15th.
The date's in the
The
newsletter.
date is in the newsletter. Moving along real quickly, because I know we've got Angela and Sally have some announcements to make, but we're having a senior patio potluck picnic here in the Clerk Room at Town Hall on July 19th. Doug, I think you've come to this before as part of the fire department.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been a hit. So what's happening is essentially the police chief and the fire chief are co-hosting with the Council on Aging, and we're supplying the hamburgers and hot dogs, but other people are bringing the salads, and they're bringing appetizers and mixed dishes, and we don't seem to lack for food, do we?
Not usually.
Not usually. So if you're interested in coming to that, please call the COA office again at 978-371-2895. And it's not that you have to register because we won't accept you if you don't. It's only that we want to know approximately how many people are coming so we order the right amount of food. Again, there's a couple of intergenerational things happening. There's a COA lunch on July 19th. That's actually more of a senior thing. It's at St. Irene's, and we move to St. Irene's a lot of times during the summertime because they're the church that has the air conditioning. And also, that lunch is going to have a special guest speaker afterwards that some people will recognize, Peter Alden, who's a Concord resident, but he's one of the world's foremost naturalists and expert on birds, which is near and dear to a lot of people here in Concord. I mean, in Carlisle, but Peter doesn't just speak about birds. The topic this year is going to be Columbia and our relationship with Columbia, and he really gives a great historical perspective. Peter Alden, he writes the introductions to the Audubon books to give you an idea of how well read he is on the subject. On July 25th, we have a lunch at the farm, the farm is a euphemism, I guess, for the Concord Correctional Facility. And they have an excellent lunch program, which you've been to many times.
Yes, I have.
I have not, but I understand the food is actually pretty good.
It's excellent.
So if you're interested
And it's
in that.
inexpensive too, right?
Yeah, $3.21.
Best deal in town.
Absolutely.
I think you have to bring exact change.
Yep.
But when you get there, you have to be willing to give up your cell phone and all your stuff before you go in. But anyway, it is very popular in all seriousness. People that have gone to it actually seem to like to come back. So that's on July 25th. Please call the COA if you're interested in as far in advance as possible so we know about transportation. Intergenerationally, or not intergenerationally, this is another one that I've confused myself on. It's an ice cream social and sing-along on Tuesday, August 6th, and that one is at Congregational Church.
Right.
And that's going to be at 1:30 p.m. And the ice cream is going to be from, surprise, Kimball Farms. So please call the COA if you're interested. And if you have a musical request, please call Pastor Weibly at the church at 978-369-7830. And Pastor Weibly, as some people know, is really a music aficionado. Not just that he's good musically, but he has a historic knowledge which rivals anybody around. That's all I have for the moment. Why don't we turn to Sally? And then, Angela, I'm sure you've got a lot of things to say too.
Okay. I was introduced as director of Friends of Council on Aging. I'm actually on the board of directors, not the director. But the Friends of Council on Aging, for those of you who don't know, is an organization devoted to raising funds for the Council on Aging, because by law, the Council on Aging cannot raise its own funds. So we raise funds every year to help provide other services to seniors. And some of the things that we've been able to provide include fuel assistance. We sponsor wonderful cultural and educational programs with the Friends of Gleason Public Library. I know a number of you have probably attended some of those. Those are not just for seniors, but for anyone. We subsidize fitness classes. We purchase large print books, tapes, and age-related items for the library. And we also provide some intergenerational programs and activities for the town of Carlisle. So it's summer now. We're sort of getting into our slow period like everyone else, but we will be in the fall starting up our fundraising, getting ready for our end-of-year fundraising. But we will accept donations at any time. If anyone's interested in sending a donation, you can send it to Friends of Carlisle Council on Aging, Post Office Box 38. That's right, in Carlisle. And one of the activities that's coming up that we are sponsoring with the Gleason Public Library is there is Dr. Gary Highlander will be coming for a program called America by the Book. It's going to be a discussion of 2 books by American authors. Each provides an opportunity to examine cultural, political, and historical issues that link literature to the texture of their times. So it'll be an interesting program. There are going to be 2 sessions. On September 26th, they're going to discuss Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin. And on October 3rd, John Steinbeck's famous Grapes of Wrath, his most famous book. So if you want to register and download a plot synopsis, you can please visit the Gleason Public Library website. And registration will open on August 1st. So light refreshments will be provided by the atrium at Drum Hill.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, for those who have seen Gary Highlander before, he's an absolutely magnetic speaker.
Great.
He really is. And if you haven't seen him, take the opportunity on one or both of those dates. Usually the room is just packed.
Yes, as most of these programs are.
Yeah.
But also, this will give you an opportunity, if you're looking for summer reading, you can go back, if you haven't read them, read Uncle Tom's Cabin and Grapes of Wrath, or reread them, if it's been a while.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sally.
Sally.
And Sally is being modest. She is on the board of directors for the Friends, but she is the vice chair of the board of directors
Perfect.
for the next year.
So, David, you mentioned we're going to do some intergenerational programs, and we do team up with the rec department, and we're doing 3 programs. The first one is a martial arts demo, where the woman who teaches our SAMA, which is Seniors Approach to Maintaining Agility class, will be teaching, and she's going to bring some of her students where she teaches martial arts. And so everybody will learn some of the moves as well as being able to break a board. And that's going to be on July 11th. And then on July 24th, we're going to have a comedy juggling show. So both seniors and students can come to that. And then we're going to go to Great Brook Dairy Farm and have a tour with the farmer and see how they make their ice cream and how they milk their cows. And that's going to be on August 1st. And then the town of Carlisle is doing an amazing project with veterans on making poppies and trying to cover the statue of that's in the center, as well as go all the way over to the Veterans Memorial. And so everybody is helping by making some poppies. And so we're challenging the seniors to meet here in this room and participate in that as well. And we'll have trivia at the library on July 14th. We do have a mental illness support group on July 10th and August 14th. And then we also will be doing our knitting group. We have 2 knitting groups. One knits whatever they would like, and they meet twice a month, July 6th and 20th, and August 3rd and 17th at 10:15 at the library. And then there's a group of us that get together once a month on the 3rd Thursday, and we knit for Common Cathedral in Boston for the homeless. So over the summer, if you like to knit, just feel free to make some hats or scarves and bring them into town hall, and we'll get them to the cathedral. And then we're going to be having our flu clinic. We want to give people a heads up for October 12th. And we're doing a meditation group every Monday at 1 o'clock at Benfield Farms. And so we want people to know about that. And our book group continues through the summer on August 13th and July 9th. And then quite a few of the seniors participate in the Carlisle Community Chorus, and that will be starting up again in September 17th. So we hope that people will join that. And then we have exercise, and we want people to join us for that. And right now we're looking for some people for our summer program, in particular because we lost a couple of people with summer schedules. But we do have Zumba on Tuesdays, Tai Chi on Tuesdays, line dancing on Wednesday. Thursdays is fitness and cardio, and then Friday, Sama. And then in the fall, we'll return to tap dancing. So we have haircuts here in this room. So if you live in Carlisle or want to join us in Carlisle, you can call the COA and get a reduced rate haircut right here and get in and get out with no time wasted. And podiatry is on July 13th and 16th. And every Thursday morning we meet at Center Park for a trek through the woods and for a good 2-hour trail that they do. So I think those are the highlights, and people can join us either by seeing the hard copy newsletter or by calling the COA office, and we'll put them on for our weekly email.
Great. Thank you very much, Angela. I say this almost every time when I look at your calendar and I hear all of these events. I don't know how people have time to do all of these activities, and it's a wonderful service that you and David and the friends and everybody provide for the retired and older folks in our community, and we really appreciate it. Just there's something for everybody and activities on every day on the calendar here, so we truly appreciate all of that, and it's great to get all these public service announcements out there. Did you have one more?
Yeah, I have one more, if we have a moment.
Got a moment.
Oh, okay, just to let you know that one of these save the date things, Angela mentioned the Poppy Project. That's Deborah Bentley is leading that in the town, and that's because essentially it's the 100th anniversary of the signing of the armistice that ended World War I in 1918. And I know, Doug, that you've run into this numerous times. We're going to do the intergenerational road race. This year, Veterans Day falls on a Sunday, so we cannot hold it on Sunday because we use the church FRS landing spot. But we're going to do it on Monday morning, which Monday will be a day off for most folks. So anyway, just putting that out there.
I'm really looking forward to the poppies. That'll be quite a powerful display, I think.
Are most of them all felt or
No, they're felt, they're knitted, they're crocheted, they're welted, they're made from everything.
That'll be
It's really amazing. You can see some of them at the library. There's over by the back wall, there's kits to make them, and there's also people leave off things that they've made.
So we're really looking forward to that. So with that, just thank you again to all of our panelists today, David and Mary, Sally, wonderful to see you as well. Dave, the other David, and Angela, thank you for all of your contributions to the community, and especially Lana, thank you very much for your talk today on the PACE program. I think that was very informative, and hopefully many of the people in the community will have an opportunity to look into it. So thank you all. Again, I'm Doug Stevenson, and we're closing out the July 20th edition of the Carlisle Community Forum. Thank you.